It was a long, exhausting drive, and by the time I pulled into the parking lot of the Valley Pines Hotel, I was ready to collapse. I'd been on the road for hours, making my way through endless stretches of dark, empty highways. All I wanted was a warm bed and a few hours of sleep before continuing my trip the next day. The hotel was a bit old-fashioned, but it had charm. The lobby was dimly lit, with dark wooden floors that creaked underfoot, and old paintings of countryside landscapes hung on the walls. The woman at the front desk smiled warmly as I approached. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Valley Pines. Are you checking in?" "Yeah," I replied, rubbing my eyes. "I've got a reservation for one night." She typed something into the computer, handed me a key card, and then paused. Her smile faltered slightly. "You'll be staying in room 212 on the second floor. I do need to remind you of something." She leaned in just a bit, her voice lowering. "Please avoid the third floor during your stay." I blinked, suddenly more awake. The third floor. She nodded, her smile tightening into something forced. "Yes, we've had issues there. It's off limits. The elevators and stairwell to the third floor are locked, so you won't be able to access it. But we ask that you do not try." I frowned, confused. "Issues? Like what?" She glanced to the side, hesitating. "Just maintenance problems. For your safety, please stay on the second floor or in the lobby. If you need anything, feel free to call the front desk." That was weird, but I was too tired to question it further. I shrugged, took the key card, and headed for the elevator, eager to get to my room. The moment the elevator doors opened, though, I felt a odd, uneasy sensation, like something wasn't quite right. The kind of feeling you get when you're being watched. I chalked it up to my exhaustion and pressed the button for the second floor. The elevator creaked as it ascended, the old machinery groaning with each floor it passed. I noticed the button for the third floor had been taped over, a thick strip of red tape covering it entirely. It was just maintenance, I reminded myself, probably nothing to worry about. Once in my room, I tossed my bags aside, too tired to do anything but fall onto the bed. The room was standard, nothing special: a bed, a desk, a small TV, and a window looking out into the dark parking lot. I flicked on the lamp beside the bed, but the light flickered weakly before settling into a dim glow. I made a mental note to tell the front desk about that, but for now, all I wanted was to sleep. As I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the weird feeling I'd had since arriving. Something about the hotel seemed off. Maybe it was the receptionist's warning. Maybe it was just how run down the place felt, like it had seen better days decades ago. But the silence was what bothered me most. It was almost unnaturally quiet. That's when I heard it, a faint noise, soft at first, barely audible. I sat up, straining to listen. It sounded like footsteps, slow, deliberate, and echoing from above. From the third floor. I frowned. The receptionist had said the third floor was off limits, locked. So who was up there? The footsteps continued, growing louder, closer. I couldn't tell if they were heading toward me or away. My heart began to race as a cold shiver ran down my spine. I told myself it was probably just another guest who didn't get the memo, or maybe a staff member doing late-night maintenance. But deep down, I didn't believe that. The footsteps stopped abruptly, and for a moment the silence was suffocating. I waited, holding my breath. Then a low, scraping sound filled the air, like something heavy was being dragged across the floor above me. It was slow, methodical, and unrelenting. I grabbed my phone, the screen lighting up the dim room. 3:13 a.m. Who would be doing any kind of work this late at night? I couldn't take it anymore. I threw on my jacket, grabbed my key card, and headed out into the hallway. I told myself I'd just go down to the lobby, talk to the receptionist, and get some answers. Maybe I'd even check out early if things got any weirder. As I walked down the hall, I heard it again, those dragging, scraping sounds, followed by a sharp, metallic clank. They were louder now, directly above me, like something or someone was moving just beyond the ceiling. I hurried to the elevator, but when I pressed the button, nothing happened. I pressed it again, no response. The elevator was dead. Heart pounding, I turned toward the stairwell. The door had a "Do Not Enter" sign taped across it, but I had to know what was going on. I pushed through the door, my footsteps echoing as I began to climb the stairs. The air grew colder as I ascended, an unnatural chill seeping into my bones. I reached the landing between the second and third floors, and there was a chain locking the door to the third floor, just like the receptionist had said. But the chain was loose, the padlock dangled, broken. Someone had been here, or ... something. My gut screamed at me to turn back, but curiosity overrode my fear. I pushed open the door. The hallway beyond was dark, the lights flickering sporadically. The air smelled musty, like the place hadn't been touched in years. Doors lined the walls, but many of them were open, revealing rooms in various states of disrepair. The wallpaper was peeling, the carpet stained. It was as though the third floor had been abandoned, left to rot. I stepped inside, every muscle in my body tense. The silence was suffocating, but it didn't last long. A soft thudding sound echoed down the hall, like someone knocking rhythmically on the floor. I froze, heart hammering. The sound grew louder, closer, until it felt like it was just beyond the next door. Suddenly, something moved in the corner of my vision, something quick and shadowy, disappearing around a corner. My breath caught in my throat. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky and weak. "Is anyone there?" No answer. I stepped forward, inching down the hall, my hands trembling. The sound of scraping returned, louder now, as though something was being dragged across the floor toward me. Panic flared, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then, from the end of the hall, I saw it, a dark figure, hunched over, dragging something large and heavy behind it. T's shape was wrong, distorted, and as it turned its head toward me, I saw its face, or what was left of it. Its skin was pale, stretched tight over its skull, and its eyes were hollow, black pits. It smiled a grotesque, unnatural smile that sent a wave of terror crashing through me. I ran. I didn't look back. I bolted down the stairs, nearly tripping over myself in my desperate attempt to escape. I heard the footsteps behind me, pounding, fast and relentless, following me down the stairwell. The air grew colder, freezing my lungs with each breath. I burst into the lobby, my heart racing, and found the receptionist staring at me, wide-eyed. "You went to the third floor, didn't you?" she whispered, her voice shaking. I couldn't speak. I could only nod, my whole body trembling. "I told you to stay away," she said, backing away from me. "You saw it, didn't you?" Before I could answer, the lights in the lobby flickered, the air grew still, and then, from the darkness behind me, I heard it again, the dragging, the scraping. It had followed me, and it wasn't going to stop.